This little tutorial will walk you through creating an identity certificate for your ASA or Firepower Threat Defense device. Now, I wanted to create a wildcard certificate, so I'm actually going to go through that process, but it's identical whether you're creating a wildcard certificate or a standard single host identity certificate. Now, I'm using the SSL for Free site, which is a great resource. It uses Let's Encrypt in the back end, but it's a bit easier to use than Let's Encrypt because for something like an ASA, you would need to create the certificate signing request outside of the Let's Encrypt website, where SSL for Free takes care of this for you. By the way, at the bottom of the page, I won't scroll down and make you sick, but there's a bunch of very helpful resources for doing things like validating certificates and so on. But let's go ahead and get started. So I'm putting in my what I want to be in the distinguished name field of this certificate. In this case, it's a wildcard certificate, so it has this asterisk at the front. My domain name, which is putitin.com, and I'll go ahead and create free SSL. Now, in order to verify that I own this domain, SSL for Free will require me to verify DNS. So I'll click this button here, and what's going to happen is I'll be advised to create a particular record in my DNS zone for this domain, and that will allow the SSL for Free infrastructure to validate that I created that record the way I was asked to, and then they'll go ahead and issue me my certificate. So now if I scroll down, I can see the DNS record they're asking me to create. So it's this Acme Challenge entry, acmechallenge.putitin.com. I'll go ahead and copy that. Now I use GoDaddy to manage my DNS, and I've actually already created a record for this down here. Now make sure when you create this you don't put the domain name on twice, so it's just the Acme Challenge, since this is a wildcard for the domain. And I'm going to update the value with what I'm being advised to put in here, and click Save. Now that that's saved, now I was only able to set a minimum of a 30-minute time to live for this. Going back to the SSL for Free site, they recommend a 1-minute time to live. It makes it a bit faster to validate. I'm going to have to wait here, of course. So now when I'm ready to issue the certificate, I can click this download cert button, but I want to make sure that my record actually took effect, because if it hasn't yet and I click download certificate, I'll get an error and I'll have to start all over again. I've had to redo this here, so I have a new challenge key which I entered into my DNS settings. If I go to my validation page, I see that that text record is accurate. So now I'll choose download SSL certificate, and this will take a minute because the site actually has to generate a private key for me, my certificate, and it will actually create a certificate authority bundle for me as well. And in a moment I'll get presented that. We're done here. Now I'm given the option to log in. I'm going to go ahead and do that. The nice thing about that, as you can see, I'll get notified before the certificate expires. Here's my certificate files. Now I could copy paste these down into text files, etc. But again, they make it super easy here. I just click download. Be looking at my 3 files. So I have my private key, which I want to take good care of, especially for a wildcard, my public certificate, and my CA certificate bundle. Now I cannot install these directly on the ASA this way. I actually need to bundle them all together into what's called a PKCS12 file. This is a specially formatted certificate bundle that can contain all of these things. Now the easiest way to do this, since I'm a Mac user, is to use the OpenSSL tool. So I'll do that now and show you how that works. It is very easy with just one command. Okay, I'm in terminal on my Mac here, and I'm looking at the directory that has the unzipped files that I downloaded from my free SSL certificate site. and using Let's Encrypt in the back end. So I have 3 files I was given. The Certificate Authority Bundle. This has the Let's Encrypt Certificate Authority and Intermediate Signing CA certs. My certificate for my ASA, in which case is a wildcard certificate for my domain, and my private key. Now I can't import these directly into the ASA this way. I have to combine them together in what's called a PKCS12 file. So that's where I'm using this OpenSSL command on my Mac, and I'm specifying PKCS12 operation. I want to export the file, and the output of that file will be called, or that work will be called certificate.pfx. In key is my private key. In certificate is the certificate, and then lastly the cert file is that CA signing and root CA cert bundle. So hit return, and I'm forced to secure this PKCS file with a password. So I always could have it here and make sure I don't type that wrong. All right, and that's done. And now if I do a directory, I see I have my certificate.pfx file, and this is what I'll import into my ASA with that private key. I'm sorry, with that password. Okay, last step, importing our identity certificate, in this case a wildcard certificate, into our ASA. So I'm under Remote Access, Certificate Management, Identity Certificates. And as you can see, I have a bunch of certificates here already. But I'll go ahead and add one more. So I'm going to click on the Add button. And I'm going to call this SSL for free, wildcard, put it in H. And I'll put in my decrypt passphrase, pick my file. And this was the certificate.pfx file that was created by the OpenSSL command. Import that. The rest of the settings are fine. And when I click OK, you'll see that this is operation completed successfully. Now, clicking OK here, you'll see I should now have, there it is, my star.putitin.h.com. And I can look at the details of that file here, that certificate. And also by doing that, since that was a PKCS 12 bundle, you'll see I now have the Let's Encrypt Certificate Authority certificate added here as well that came from that trust point. So all good there, and we're now ready to use that certificate in a remote access configuration. Just to show that real quick, to assign that to an interface, I can go under my advanced SSL settings, and way down here at the bottom, I can pick on my outside interface which certificate I want presented, and I can use this SSL for free certificate I just added. That's it. Now, another best practice I want to do here, the ASA does support certificate authentication, and while we're not going to configure that today, I want to be careful that if I ever do, I don't trust all certificates coming from this Let's Encrypt Certificate Authority or the Cisco Smart Call Home Service. What I'll do is edit this certificate, and under Advanced, I want to uncheck Accept certificates issued by this CA, and that's for authentication purposes. I'm going to go ahead and do that for both. And we are all set with this part of the process.